please read along with me as I read Chapter 6, The Open Door Slams Shut. In 1914, World War I began in Europe. It went on for 4 years. The United States did not join the fighting until 1917. During the war, immigration at Ellis Island slowed to a trickle. In 1914, about 880,000 immigrants had come through its doors. By 1918, the numbers had fallen sharply to 29,000. So Ellis Island was used for new purposes. During the war, it became a holding pen for enemies of the government. In addition, the Army and the Navy treated their wounded at Ellis Island's hospital, and they used the dorms to house troops waiting to go overseas. After World War I, the numbers of incoming immigrants soared again, but by this time the movement against immigration had begun in the United States. Citizens worried about losing jobs to immigrants who would work for lower pay, and prejudice against immigrants was widespread. In 1921, Congress passed the Emergency Quota Act. A quota means a limit could be placed on how many immigrants could enter the United States each year. The number was set at about 350,000. The law also limited how many people could come from each country. Never before had the United States set limits on immigration. The open door was slamming shut. 3 years later, in 1924, came an even tougher law. It cut immigration in half. Now a total of about 165,000 immigrants were allowed into the United States each year. The law also favored people from countries in northern and western Europe. Out of every 100 immigrants, 85 came from these countries. Only 12 of the 100 came from southern and eastern Europe. People from Asia and Africa were left with the remaining 3 spots. In 1906, more than 285,000 Italians had come through Ellis Island. The 1921 law limited the number of Italians to 42,000. The 1924 law slashed the number to 4,000 a year. The law caused yet another major change. It stopped the testing of immigrants at Ellis Island. Testing now took place before the immigrants left home at U.S. embassies. These government offices had been set up around the globe after World War I, when the United States became a world power. After 1924, inspectors at Ellis Island just checked the papers of the immigrants who came through. During World War II, Ellis Island was used again to detain foreign enemies and treat wounded servicemen. The U.S. Coast Guard also trained 60,000 troops there. After the war ended in 1945, most of the buildings lay empty. The cost of keeping the island open was very high. Since the arrival of that Irish girl named Annie Moore, 12 million immigrants had passed through the little island, the gateway to America. Now all those stories were part of history. On November 12, 1954, Ellis Island was closed. Angel Island. Most immigrants entered the United States through Ellis Island, but there were other immigration stations too. They were in U.S. ports such as Boston, Baltimore, Miami, and New Orleans. On the West Coast, the most famed immigration station was Angel Island in San Francisco, California. Some called it the Ellis Island of the West. San Francisco, Ellis Island, Angel Island. About 1 million immigrants came to Angel Island from 1910 to 1940. Most came from Asia, especially China. The Chinese had started coming to America in large numbers during the California Gold Rush from 1848 to 1845. In the late 1860s, thousands more came to help build America's first railroads. Since the Chinese worked for very little pay, American workers often resented them. Laws were passed to make it extremely hard for them to enter America. As a result, Angel Island acted mostly as a place to detain and deport immigrants. This was far different than Ellis Island, which passed 98% of immigrants into the country. Today, Angel Island is a historic landmark.